Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to take a little look at my Dark Mechanicus Kill Team, which I finished assembling yesterday. Now, I will say straight off the bat, there will be those of you who look at this and go, what's with all the little marks and the mould lines? I know I need to clean them off. I will clean them off before painting, but let's be totally honest, that's the really boring bit, and I was not down for doing the really boring bit. And for the most part, you can see exactly what's going on. You can see how the models are put together, what parts are being used. They just need a little bit of filing here and there, and they're ready to go. So it will happen, just not right now. Also, the Doom Rider video yesterday. Good amount of constructive criticism on that. It was good. I have to admit, I do agree. The skull, too small. I think it's one of those things where I was working on it for a good few hours just solidly. And then you get used to how it looks, and it's not until someone else goes, have you thought about changing that you look at it and go, oh no, yeah, you're right, actually, that would look better. So yeah, that's going to be changed. There's going to be a flamey skull going on there at some point, a bigger flamey skull, just so it matches a bit better. And I'll give him a neck as well, so it's not quite as sunken in. But anyway, so this kill team will be expanded on at some point. I do want some close combat options in there, which I will make using the Rust Stalkers and some sort of Night Haunt kit as well. I'm not sure what combination I'll go for, but that's how that's going to work at some point in the future. For the most part, this is how the kill team stands at the moment. You can see pretty quickly, pretty handily, what I've actually used to make them. It's the Cawdor kit, and it is also the Skitarii Rangers kit as well. I'll be totally honest, there's been absolutely no thought put towards loadout. That's something that I just don't really care about. I just went for what looks cool. Like I tried different weapon options and different looks, and whatever won is what got put on the model. If there was ever a situation where there was some sort of tournament and it was like, okay, you are using what you have on the model, I would be shit out of luck and won't be able to use them. But I don't tend to do that anyway. I mostly play against people who just don't care and are like, okay, well, as long as I know that weapon represents that, you're all good. So I wanted like the scavenger look. I wanted them to be essentially like a mix of kind of actual combat ready Skitarii and I guess discarded dead like old servitors, or parts that have been upgraded or pieces that have been replaced or not upgraded, scavenged. Definitely not upgraded, definitely scavenged. So there's a few instances through here where like there will be Cawdor weapons, or there'll be one of the Cawdor legs will be partially replaced with Admech legs, but not all the way, which some of that was down to as well. There are bits of the Cawdor kit which have got like bare feet, which I felt didn't fit properly. It didn't work right, especially on the ones they've got like the full Admech helmets. It might have worked a bit better on the dudes who have a skull instead of a helmet, but I preferred having like more of a mechanical look to a few of them. So there is some replacements on these guys where the feet have been cut off and replaced, or like they've been cut off at the knee or the thigh and replaced with Admech stuff. Every single instance of that was an absolute pain in the arse to do, because there's very little surface area for contact, and I did pin a few. Some I didn't need to, so it wasn't too bad, but the ones that I needed to pin to stay really were just an absolute nightmare to sort out. It got very tedious very quickly, but I wanted that look, and so it was worth it. It just didn't feel like it at the time. Every single one of these guys has got some sort of backpack on. Most of them are, in fact, I think 90% of them are from the Ranger kit, so they have the backpacks from the Rangers themselves. There's one that's got a Space Marine backpack, and that was just purely because I wanted a little bit of variation. I thought it'd be fun to have something a bit different. There's weirdly, some of my favourite models out of these are the ones that don't actually conform to what I originally was going to do. Like, I wasn't going to use the guy with the massive crossbow. I wasn't going to use that. Instead, I was going to have him hold the transonic arquebus or whatever it's called. The really big, stupidly long gun. But I kind of liked the idea of a scavenger team that's so poorly equipped that they are improvising weapons to be able to do their job. So I stuck with it, and then I couldn't work out what head to give it, and just like on a whim, I thought I could try a skull in there. Skull could look pretty cool, and it actually worked really well. I like how that model, came out, because it still has that like element of Mechanicus about it. It's still got the backpack. It's got the searchlight that's kind of coming out of the hull, but the skull just makes it look like a long dead servitor, which I really like the look of. So yeah, that was one that I didn't originally intend it to be anything like that, but the end result I'm super happy with. Overall, I don't think there's much that I would actually change about these guys. I'm pretty happy with how they've all come out. You can see that I've taken, some of them have just got full on AdMech guns. Some of them I've taken the Cawdor weapons and I've sliced the barrels off, and I've replaced the barrels with barrels from the AdMech kit. Others I've just given Cawdor weapons to. There's only a couple that have only got Cawdor weapons. For the most part, they have had it replaced with some sort of AdMech thing. But there are a few where I just liked the ramshackle look of it, so I ended up keeping like the pistol, for instance. The kind of long-barreled guns, pretty much all of them, I'm pretty sure I replaced with some sort of replacement barrel from the AdMech kit. Some of it looks a bit better than others, which is intentional, but I'm thinking there's a couple there, the joint is a little bit ropey. I might end up going back and fixing it. It depends on whether I want to keep it looking as ramshackle as it looks, or whether I want to clean it up a bit. For the most part, it wasn't too bad. It's quite fiddly. Both kits are fairly fiddly. The most difficult bit overall was replacing things like feet with parts from the AdMech kit. That was something that never really got any easier to do. It was a pain every time. For the most part, surprisingly, the helmets fit into the Cawdor kit really, really well. There was only a couple of instances where I either had to file something down, or I had to pad out the socket with something. They've got the same join in the neck, which is really, really helpful. And the amount of effort required to get the backpacks on was surprisingly zero. Something about the back of the Cawdor kit and the join on the AdMech power pack, it just pressed on so firmly that just a little bit of super glue just kept it there. Didn't have to pin it, didn't have to drill anything, didn't have to mess about. It didn't have to pad it. It just stuck, and it's on there rock solid, which I was so happy about, because that was the thing I was worried about most. The one thing that I knew I wanted on all of them was to have a backpack of some kind. And I was like, the first time I tried to put one on, I was like, it's a little bit wonky. I'm not sure it's going to stick properly. A little bit of fiddling though, and as soon as you get the right angle, it's just on and it's never coming off. Overall, it's genuinely tricky for me to work out which of these I like the most, because this is one of those rare situations where I think every single one of them is exactly what I want out of that model. There are a couple that perhaps, if I were to do this again, I would perform a bit more surgery on. Like, there's a few where I think I could replace the legs a bit more easily. I think I could perhaps incorporate some of the chest elements of the Skitarii kit. But for the most part, they're all pretty much what I was aiming for. This is one of those projects where I went in with a very firm idea as to what I wanted, and I, for the most part, managed to achieve what I was going for with every single one of them. And due to the way this has worked out, I've still got quite a lot of both Cawdor stuff and the Skitarii Ranger kit left. I've still got, I think, probably 6 or 7 full sets of legs. I've got all the torsos for the Skitarii Rangers, and most of the weapons as well. Because you get 2 sets of weapons in that kit, there's enough in there to make a bunch of other stuff. It's just trying to work out what to do with them. Did think about maybe making some sort of close combat unit out of those, but it's a case of finding weapons that would look appropriate on them. But that might be something to look into, because I'm sure I could mess with them and do something fun if I really put my mind to it. But yeah, that is my Dark Mechanicus Kill Team, made from Cawdor and Skitarii Ranger parts. I'm genuinely happy with how it turned out. I think it looks pretty good as a little side project, as a way to to kind of step out of my comfort zone of doing things that are mostly Space Marine based or Dreadnought based. It was a fun thing to do, and to be honest, I think I would probably be happy to have a full army of stuff like this. I could easily see myself expanding into like a full-on Dark Mechanicus army, or like some sort of scavenger-themed force from this, purely because of how much fun it was. And I think, without trying not to sound like I'm being like arrogant, but I think it's worked pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So yeah, that is my Dark Mechanicus Kill Team. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, feel free to click all the stuff in the meantime. As I say, I will clean them up, don't worry, they will have all their little marks and blemishes taken away, but I'd put them together, I was happy with them, I wanted to show you guys, and like I say, that's the boring bit. So I saved that for once once all the fun was done, it's time to put on some sort of crappy show and just start filing away. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click the stuff, and I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.